Welcome to Set the Trend podcast. The boys are back. And of course, this is the podcast where we talk about our history in the street sound scene. We talk to some of the DJs, we talk to some of the main players and characters of the scene over the last 30 years. And of course, today, we have a main character of the scene. Definitely a main player, definitely one of the main men in the scene who helped it to grow. And I'm not talking about EastEnder or Reggie, but hello to you both.
Greetings.
You cool?
Mate, you all right?
You all right?
Yeah, Corona free for now.
Corona free, and I like the Mali hat.
Oh, cheers.
Very cultural, thank you,
Go
sir.
through a change.
Cool. But of course, it's not about you two today. It's not about me either, is it? You know what I mean? It's about a sound. We're going to go through their history. Formerly Casually Flair, then came into, betterly known when I came into the scene anyway, definitely, at the heights of it, GQ. And we're going to talk to the main man, Vibert, aka Loverboy. Is that right?
Nickname given to me, yes. AKA.
Okay, so we're going to discuss your nickname and everything else. So you came fully battle prepared in your Manchester United kit.
Before we start, you support Liverpool, I support Man United. We'll keep it like that. Reggie,
Luckily the space is there. I'm like the referee. We're Bagooners. So you're right.
You're quite used to it. Ray, we need to talk. We need to talk. Yeah.
Welcome. Bye.
Pleased to be here.
Going back over the years, as I said, you started off as Casual Affair.
Yep.
Then you went into GQ.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about Casual Affair.
I think I would turn around and say to you that Casual Affair was part of an era that Sir George led. Okay, we used to...
And Sir George was Anthony Brightly.
Anthony Brightly,
yeah.
Bernie, Dane, Ronnie, Fergie. There was a sound that progressed soul music and Jamaican lovers music, yeah. Mm-hmm. So back then for us at school, I used to go to a school called Upton House. The history you need to hear first. Upton House was a school.
I know about Upton House. I've heard about
Upton House. Upton House was a school that built ravers, built DJs, and built guys that were...
Give us a flavour of some of the DJs that came out of Upton House.
Cass, Manhattan, Company, Eddie Nesta, well, it's definitely Nesta, but Busby, Trevor Bailey, Sandra Rhodes,
Michael Fontaine.
That guy we didn't
come there.
We didn't work. And in fact, I will say this, Michael used to go to the school, but he was a really nice, quiet guy. You know them guys that, I wouldn't call him a
What,
nerd.
you were still there when he was going to school?
No, he was young, man. He was there with my brothers.
John Jr.?
John Jr. Oh God, John Jr. Abashanti.
Wow.
Came from us. I could name it. Busby Chicken. There's so many sounds that came from Upton House School.
Wow.
What badge was you?
I was Tyson. Red
badge?
Yeah, red badge.
Okay.
And that school, even though we were educated by the teachers, our life was all about football, music, and women. Mm-hmm. That was it for us.
Girls
then.
at the time. Girls.
First generation Windrush. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of very difficult for us to understand. We was held back, the colour of our skin. Except for me being red, it opened doors for me.
Or light skin.
Red,
as some
light
people
skin,
will know.
whatever you want to call it, yeah, it opened doors for me. So the school sort of taught us that education of sound system. There was no tannoys left in the school. Everyone was taking the tannoys.
It's the big speaker boxes out of it.
Yeah,
Tops, tweeters, or whatever. Yeah.
Every single year had a sound, 2 or 3 sounds within the year. You know,
So okay, so let's just put some context into that. So the teaching at the time, in terms of the academic teaching, was it not engaging most of, because was this a predominantly black school?
100%.
Male boys, okay.
Boys, all boys.
So the academics at that time, was it engaging you, or was this is why that you led towards the sound system?
No. I think it was the culture at the time. Remember, first generation West Indian, Caribbean kids that came over, the parents came over, all we knew was licks and be home for a certain time and go to church.
Meetings, yeah, that's
all
right,
we
yeah.
knew. And we knew about parties. Parties were a regular thing. It was a way of our parents getting together and having a good time.
It was a communication, it was a culture,
100%.
yeah.
And the kids played the music. So Anthony Brightly had a sound, Sir George, his dad's sound. And we used to follow his dad's sound. 99 Downs Road. We used to follow his dad's sound, Big Man sound. We used to follow his sound. We used to follow Coxon, Sufra. We used to follow all the sounds. As young kids, that was our entertainment, our enjoyment. We never had internet, no mobile phones.
Was there any youth club? There was youth clubs.
We had youth clubs.
Yeah.
I actually worked in the youth club. We had youth clubs, and we had communal get-togethers. We would link up.
But there was no PlayStation, there was no iPad, there was no computers, there was
Nothing.
a couple of board games maybe. There was dominoes.
Dominoes was big.
Yeah.
Cards, brag was big. We
Yeah.
played. That was our schooling.
And that was it, wasn't it? Yeah.
But we were taught. A lot of us were very intelligent. But remember, 99% of the guys there were doing X. The 1% that wanted to do Y couldn't because you followed
X,
where the
you
crowd.
followed the lead. That's
Right,
right,
okay.
yes.
I had an older brother, and he was, sound man. He was again a sound man, Cyril, my older brother, and we raved all the time. Now back then, your parents would say, "You've got to take your younger brother with you." So I was going everywhere with him. So we was going Friday. We was going to all the clubs that I shouldn't be going at 14, 15. I was getting an education about sound system,
Music,
raving, dancing with girls. You had to be able to dance with a girl to be part of anything. That was it.
That was like a badge of
Dance.
honour at them days, isn't it?
But what?
Yeah.
That was your degree.
Yeah.
Yeah, you passed the degree, you're firing. So I think for us back then, even though education was important, it didn't feel like it was for us because we were growing up in an environment that didn't understand who we were. You know, the way I'd hair, sorry. We all had afro, even Michael. We all had hair, which we tried to twist up, locks up, because it was very rootsy back then. You know, following sounds like Fat Man. It was very rootsy, very, we want to be free. We didn't want to
You just wanted to express yourself in your own way, yeah.
And music was the thing. Music was the thing.
That's like similar to a lot of that roots sound kind of like led the way
100%.
back then as well. You know, I'd like to ask you about the interesting thing about the whole school environment. Did you feel that they pushed you more to doing the whole sound system music thing at school because it was easier for them
To engage you.
Yeah.
Or for you to
Control
engage yourself.
Okay, myself and Ray come from an educational background. We got, and the reason why I wanted to get into education was because when I was younger at school, they didn't understand me, didn't listen to me. I wanted to be an architect. I could draw. The man was telling me that I have to be a woodworker, I had to be a carpenter. Why? Because that's where they felt that our kind or the race that we had to be. Bus drivers, carpenters and builders. I had different aspirations and I think they suppressed that. So I had to sort of move with my people, move with my boys and just adapt and grow. That's what happened to me then.
So when did you first enter a sound system or enter into a sound system?
At school, as you walk through the door at school, you're part of a crew and the crew would do the sound straight away. No tannoys left in the school at all. So we would be playing the gram loud at home. We came from flats. I don't know if you know. Hackney.
Yeah, I grew up.
Morningside Estate, Kingsmead, Bannister House, Nisbet. We had estates. In those estates were predominantly black people because that's where
were
they
the kind of
pushed us.
ghettos.
That's
Yeah,
where we
that's
were.
what it's time,
I wouldn't
yeah.
call it a ghetto because it wasn't a ghetto. It was just where they pushed black people. I remember being young and going to Islington and seeing that sign that everyone talks about, but I've seen it, touched it. No blacks, no Irish, no dogs. And then growing up in Hackney, which was predominantly a white racist area, it was difficult for us to socialise, so we did it together. It was difficult to make different friends that were outside our unit, which was black people. So for us, it was growing up in that environment where we stood together. We never had postcode wars. We never had fights really. There was big man had fights over whatever, but we never had any rows. There was Holly Street, Kingsmead, Morningside, London Fields, all together. Stoke Newington, man, them. Everyone was together.
Which is unlike now.
Exactly. This is what I would like young people to realise and understand. We are one. We've got to stay as one. And music was what got us together, brought us together.
So, okay. So when did you step into your own thing? When did you say I want my own sound?
I think when you're younger, you bounce around, don't you? So you bang around everywhere. Hackney was just full of so many different sound guys. You had Sir George, you had Trevor Nelson, the Boogie Bunch, you had Philo, Rick Clark, Sugar and Spice, you had they were at school with us, so they started sort of like with me, but a couple of years younger because they're much younger. So for me, I was slightly before them because I'm a couple of years older than what they are. 28 is a good age to be right now, but a couple of years older than what they are. So for me, it was following sounds like Fat Man Coxon, going Colombos at 14, 15, acting like a little bad man when I wasn't, going in and then watching Festos play Coxon sound, watching Coxon. And back then, it was the one deck, the blue light, you had the operator.
Sirens, yeah.
You had 4 or 5 man playing the set, and we watched this. Yeah. I was quite lucky. I was part of a crew or a gang, whatever you want to call it. I wouldn't call it any of that. A group of friends. I would call it a group of friends.
But when did you get into your own
I'm going to give it to you now. Control yourself, Liverpool. I was with a group of friends who were predominantly in the Wells Street area. Now, Wells Street is in between Dalston, Bethnal Green, where I live, Morning Lane, Victoria Park. And basically, 41 Wells Street was a place where we had raves and parties. My friend's dad used to have the parties. His name was Baz Duhaney. And we used to go to a rave called Chicken downstairs in his house. So I used to sneak out at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, go to Chicken, rave till around 6, get home, go to church, come back from church at 12, 1 o'clock, go back to Chicken.
Wow.
Still going on. So for us it was, we had the set there, so we used to start off, warm up. From 11 till around 4 o'clock, nothing was going on. So we could do our thing and people would come in playing dominoes upstairs or whatever, and we would play predominantly reggae music, Jamaican reggae music. That's what it was. And Baz was connected. He knew everybody. Every sound in London he knew. He had connections with Count Suckle, Lord Vin, all the top sounds that you guys have, huh?
Yeah,
research it. These are the guys that opened the clubs up. And he taught us how to build a sound, hence why I know speakers in the school, build a sound, and to have respect for our elders, how to handle yourself in a rave. We could go to a dance and be out of the way. We knew what to do. So I must have been 15, 16, just getting myself into the sound business. And that must have been 76, 77. I remember me and a guy called Danny, the son of Baz, itching to play soul records. Because back then, soul was big and it was just coming out. So there's a track by Odyssey, native New Yorker.
Yeah, one of my favourites.
Big tune. If you check the age of that tune there, and we used to love that tune. We used to go Chicken and man would play 1 or 2 soul tunes and that wicked. And that's what got me into playing sound. From that, we just progressed to doing our own thing. And I built Casual Affair.
Casual Affair was who?
Right, Casual Affair initially was an amalgamation of Canners, Paul Canaville, footballer Paul Canaville, Big George Nelson, Roscoe, myself, Junior Dan and brother Cyril. And we started off just doing parties and playing, because parties was the lick. Everyone did a party. And we grew from parties.
So who was around that time? So what sounds that grew up in our culture was around at that time?
Dennis Company, I would say he was about that time.
So that was Sabrina.
Sabrina, Funkadelic, Skanker, he was about that time there. So George Andy Brightly, Java, that was Hansel. The reason why I mentioned Java is because they came and got me and took me to West London. That's about it. Mystery wasn't about. Saxon wasn't there yet, but they were getting together. Trevor Nelson, Boogie Bunch.
Okay, so was you playing? So you were just doing parties. So there was no. Were those guys doing their own paid blues dances, or was they doing warehouses, or was they just doing parties?
Okay. initially we started doing parties. Parties worked great. And then we started getting mentored, is a good word to use, by various groups, Sandringham Road. One of my biggest mentors was Lance, Phoebe's, Cyrus, Busby. And they would have parties, and we were that good. And the thing, what we had that a lot of the sounds needed was women. And for some reason, at the time, with Carnival, myself, Junior, Roscoe, my brother and that, we just had women following us. So we'd have parties full of women.
And what was your playing ability like?
We played with one deck.
No, I'm just, no.
Blue light, listen to me. We played with one deck, blue light. Headphones were a telephone thing.
Predominantly soul?
No, it was more
At that time?
Jamaican lovers, reggae. Yeah, it was more Derrick Harriott, Dennis Brown. It was that type of smoochy
Revival,
music, revival music. Well, you call it revival. Revival means old. It was that type.
It wasn't revival.
That could explain the love.
No, it wasn't at that
then.
time, yeah.
That could explain why there's so many women.
Yeah, and dancing with a girl and a guy was the in thing.
Yeah.
Hence why blues dance, the one blue light.
Yes.
It was so dark in a rave, you didn't know who you was dancing with. Blues dance, yeah. So that's what happened.
You got something, you see? Didn't know?
Do you know what? I have to confess, I didn't know where the blues came from.
Yeah, that's where it came from. One of the things that we used to do as young boys was go in the toilet, light out, and bill a spliff in the dark. Because when we went to these blues dances, Jamaican cigarette we're talking about. Back then, that was our thing. We didn't really drink. It wasn't alcohol so much as it is now, but it was more, everyone smoked a drum. Anyone in music, any DJ, anyone who understands music, weed was something that relaxed you and you heard all the sounds, whatever. Anyway. So we learned to build in the dark. So when we went to a blues dance with the one blue light in the corner, we could do our thing and look professional and look older than what we really were. So that's what it was like for us then. We were then mentored by various groups of guys, and Casual Affairs started to play at blues dances. One sound for the whole night.
Yeah.
How many selectors?
2 or 3. Let's say 3. I would try and play the soul for most of the night, but I could play revival as well. My brother was a big revival DJ. Junior Dan was another revival DJ. Cannons was soul like me. So it was just soul and.
And who was your mic man at the time?
Wow, Casual Affair. Oh wow. We was based in Hackney, and when something's big, everyone wants to be on it. So we started to grow, and every dance that we had, it was just jam packed. So we had.
How much was you charging at the time?
You know what? £3.
£3
£2.
Oh, £3 to get in.
£3 to get in.
And who did your flyers? Because there was no texting.
No,
there was no radio
I
that.
did my flyers at the time because I worked in the printers.
Oh, okay.
So you designed them.
I designed them, and they were just basic type text at the beginning. That's what we did.
And then you'd go out. So how would you then distribute
No,
those?
we didn't need to because
It was
different. Back then, you know anyway. Record shops, bruv.
So you just can't leave them in the record shops.
Once your name was big, girls would come to record shops just to get where they're playing this week. Boom. Remember, we had no radio, we had no internet. So girls, shopping was a big thing. Ridley Road Market, London, big thing. Roman Road Market, Ridley Road Market, big thing. You would walk down Ridley Road, the whole of Ridley Road, you see every girl you want to know, you'll see with their mums, of course. And but that's what you'll see. And they would ask, "Are we playing?" And you tell them where you're playing. And it was all word of mouth. No mobile phones.
Yeah, that's right. None.
At that stage, what dance can you remember, Casual Affair, that?
Oh, listen.
Give us your best night.
Yeah, which one made you?
It's hard because Casual Affair progressed as I learned more about music.
Yeah, but give us the best night.
So
Limforth Road.
So, no, that's big dance, big dance. Do
you remember that?
Yeah, I remember Limforth. Casual Affair got so big, I can't even remember how many dances we did. There was so many.
And was you
Amos
still
Road.
playing? And was you still playing as it was just Casual Affair?
It was still Casual Affair.
And so there was no other sounds at that time
just
again.
Casual
It was
Affair. We'd
Casual
play
Affair.
till 6, 7 in the morning, 8 o'clock sometimes. We would go on to them sort of times. So from 16, 17, you start progressing, evolving, you start looking good. Clothes was the biggest thing for us. image.
And you're known as one of the
Stylish.
stylish.
Back then,
Ones
I was
under the-
known even more as one of the stylists.
Right, okay.
At the age of 19, I was driving Stag.
Stag.
the
Oh,
Stag
yeah,
Boys.
the
Yeah, the stag look big. Why are you that?
only man in East London.
No.
What colour stag did you
My
have?
crew had Stags.
You all had stags.
No, just three of us had
What
Stags.
colour
Danny
stag did you
Nine.
have?
Convertible.
Yeah, I had the black Stag with massive wheels, LYN.
So he's like the UK puffy.
No, I wouldn't say UK puffy, but
P. Nilly.
I would say that the image was important.
The image was very
Right.
important. at the
very
time, yeah,
important. And
yeah.
we learned that from...
So nothing's
going-
changed since that
No,
time.
but
yeah.
it shouldn't, should it?
Images,
Why
yeah.
should you change who you are from when you started? We should be progressing all the time. So that's why I believe that whenever I go out or I play out, you're on stage, you are...
Style is part and fashion is part.
Start
of
is
it.
huge, and that's when GQ came in even more.
I need to get some tips from you, mate.
Do you think you can help him?
He called me a trap in the last one.
Anyway, so from that, Amos Road, we played so many dances at Amos Road. We played for Bogan in Stano, Clapton. We did some dances in Clapton that were just jam packed.
And just you one.
Just one
So
sound.
how much? So was those your dances or was you? So you okay?
Mix.
So when you played for a promoter at the
Steno
height of
Promotions.
yours,
Okay.
yeah, at the height of yours, how much was you charging?
We didn't. It was piece of the rave. That's how we were so together at those times. We were together. We sold Baby Sham. That's how it was Baby Shams. We were charged £3-4 to get in, someone would be at the door.
So you would have a percentage of the dance. So a promoter couldn't book you to just play.
No.
They'd
It
have to
was-
give you a percentage of the dance.
99 Downs Road to George, yeah? Sir George. Right. So George were the in-ting sound, Cubies. I played Cubies on one night, Anthony Brightly was there, Ramic, just jam. We had it both jam, but Anthony Brightly had the Lovers Rock, he had the vibe, he had the boys that were dancing great. Bernard was in Sir George. Bernard
Who's
played-
one of your selectors who came later on for
came
GQ.
later on to GQ.
Yeah.
So Bernard was there. So George and Casual Affair, we clicked. Me and Anthony clicked because it's just meeting of minds, two progressive guys. And anytime we had a dance, 99 Downs Road, say for instance, it was a shared thing. We want this.
Okay, fine.
we
So
work
how much
together.
money would you come out for one of them dances?
Back
then.
Back then, it's very difficult to say how much money. If I said to you £400-500 back then was like
£500 times
mega
10.
money.
You times
More
it by
than
10 now,
more
Reggie?
than 10. More than 10.
No, but you times it by 10 now, wouldn't you?
Yeah, of course.
So it's 10 times 5 would be what?
5 G's.
Five
No,
grand.
I would say two.
No, we're saying in today's.
today's
in
money.
today's.
In
In today's.
today's money,
5,000,
we
yeah.
were playing in venues that weren't professional venues,
Yeah,
people's
yeah.
houses, 4 or 5 rooms, all the rooms jammed.
Yeah, there's no costings.
I
You
know-
don't have to really pay for security.
Exactly.
and
Security was
health and
burning.
safety.
Anthony's brother was at the
Just
door.
one man.
Yeah.
One man. We never had the wars that we have now. People came dressed
To
securely,
impress, yeah.
and they came there, to spend money as well.
So hold on. So we're going to go there. Why did you change from, what was the branding? What was the rebrand? Why did you rebrand from Casual Affair to GQ? Or was Casual Affair a different sound to GQ?
Okay. Even though me and Canners were in the sounds, it was a different sound altogether. Basically, what happened was, Casual Affair was playing at a party in Wells Street, and someone got killed
Incident, yeah.
there, and it was to do with the Broadwater Farm riots, and the police came down heavy on the sounds. Now, I was a young guy, I must have been 23, 24. I had a whole brand new sound system. I had double decks, we had 3 Technics decks, we had cordless microphones, we had a lovely stack, we had a beautiful sound system. And they wanted receipts because of what happened and because they wanted to know what information we had about who done this, who done that.
Because at that time, of course, the black community was very wary of anything to do with the police
Yeah,
and
wow,
everything
bro.
else on that, yeah.
I was working at the time at Marks and Spencer's. They kept on bringing me in. They wanted to see receipts. They confiscated the sound. They took the sound away from me for nearly 2 years. So I had to stop, leave the police with the sound because they were doing what they were doing with that sound. They were just trying to get at us. and use us to
For information,
to get people in trouble.
Had the riots happened then, or they passed?
We had Brixton riots, we had the Carnival riots.
Was the Broadwater Farm riots? Had that happened?
No, it happened a year before. It'd been simmering. There's been little fusions of things going on. It was a year before the actual Broadwater Farm riots, but the killing happened at the rave, and they were just trying to make us say it was this person and that person. So they just continued dig, which is, I suppose they were doing their job. I suppose I was the only person that was left in the room. My stuff, my sound. I had to go and claim my sound in a sense, and then they just wanted information on how I got it, where I got the money from, why I was driving that car, why he looked so good. Black boys shouldn't have this thing. And they realised that I worked for a living. I worked for a big company, and I had a good job, and nothing they could say would stick. So after a couple of years, I got it back. During that spell, we didn't play nowhere. And
so you took an enforced break at that time?
And plus I was studying, I was working.
Did they take your records as well?
Everything. Everything was held. Everything in that room could not leave the scene. And then they kept it and kept it.
I know how you feel, mate.
And so
I got caught in a studio raid myself, and they took the records and took all the equipment.
Worst
So
thing in the world, isn't it?
yeah.
You've got to rebuild in a sense. You've got to play out. You've got to try and get records. Luckily for me, I was studying at the time. I was doing other things at the time, so it was a nice break to have. During my break, I would go watch Canners play football. Paul Canner play football.
Chelsea?
He was at Chelsea. He was
Chelsea, and he's the first black player for Chelsea Football Club.
Wonderful guy.
But I'm going to touch more on Caners a little bit more because I want to go into GQ with that.
All right. So
in this break,
yep.
what sounds was ringing? So obviously, as soon as someone goes, someone replaces.
So a company came along out of the blue, boom. Company Dennis come from nowhere. No, Dennis's family. So then it's them. Everyone started to come out of the, at
So what names was ringing in your ends now?
Mystery started to play up in South. Like when Mystery was making noises up in South London. Touch of Class was making noises.
So this was at the beginning of what I probably got introduced to.
84, 84, yeah. 84 is when it happened. So 85 was when it transpired. We never had a set and whatever. So all those sounds started to come out, and it was a strange time for me because I would go to the rave still. I'll still go to the club. I'll still go. But
obviously, you didn't have your records, and you couldn't.
Yeah, I didn't feel it was right.
What kind of music was they playing at that time? Was that predominantly soul, or was it again still the not soul revival? Was that still being played, or was it?
Okay, it had changed. We were now playing funky soul. We were playing new releases. I need to clarify something with everybody at the moment. Rare groove is not old music. Anyone that keeps saying that rare groove is old music, I'm a bit lost with. As one of the guys that was there from the beginning.
At the time.
No, at the time it was new music.
It was new music.
Yeah.
No, Jones Girls was new.
100%. Jones Girls was
Emotions was new.
New, yeah, exactly. A lot of people have been saying on these Facebook things that it was old music back then. I've got to wake them up. What they're doing now was exactly what we were doing then.
In the 80s.
But we were doing it, but let me say it loud and clear, we were doing it better because we had nice raves. Sometimes you could try and introduce new music, but if the rave isn't firing, the music's not going to drop.
Where does that happen? What do you just...
No, I just mean that I'm hearing all these noise about we're trying to do a new thing, it's a new era.
Is that the neo soul thing?
Neo soul thing, yeah. And neo soul is soul music. Same soul music we was playing back then.
Yeah.
The rhythm tracks that they're playing
based
are based from back then. So no, please, we weren't playing old music. We were playing new music. In fact, we was playing new soul music to people straight away. Radio just started.
So then became the pirate station. So
exactly.
Your JFM, your Horizons around that time was coming.
Good Groove was one of my closest people. He worked with Casual Affair when we first started. So it was nice watching.
You're talking about WJ. Oh, he was your box boy. Let's just
not
get it right. No, let's just get it right, because we know he was your box boy.
I'm not saying that, but Goody was part of Casual Affair at the beginning.
With the afro.
He had curly perm, and then he got locks. No, Goody was really good. And again, all of us need to learn from somebody.
Yeah, of course.
So therefore,
Just to
Goody
wrap up
was-
that definition. So, I mean, over doing all these podcasts, speaking to so many great sound system people, my definition has changed as well. In it being that rare groove, being hard to find music at
Correct.
the time
Perfect.
that people were playing.
It's exactly what it was.
Right, okay.
Trevor Nelson will to justify to that. That's what we did. We tried to find tracks that no one was playing, that were good tracks, not just anything, good tracks that were playing.
Can you give... You see, I should have asked you about in Casual Fear. Okay, so let's go into GQ.
Okay.
So what...
Can I go into GQ?
Yes, so what made you decide to come back into
Okay.
into a sound system, a DJ?
Okay, my studying had stopped. I was quite settled where I was. Me and Paul were still seeing each other all the time. And
Caners.
Bernard, Paul Canaville.
Cool Panic.
And then Bernard was, we'd be around Paul's house. Paul had a lovely place in Edmonton. We'd be at Paul's house and Bernard would come along and he'll bring some music along. We'd be sitting there, we were like, wow, big tune. Yeah, new tune, big tune. And we were just between us, the three of us.
So Bernard had an ear for music. I mean, he was a collector anyway from...
Bernard was a collector anyway. He was Sir George's DJ. He was playing for Sir George when he was a little boy.
So he was playing some of them soul music on cassettes that we hear about that was way before they was even on vinyl. Or way before they could get them on vinyl.
100%,
So
100%. You can get Casual Affair. I got Casual Affair tapes, same thing. Tunes that, you know, Busybody, Better Love, Luther Vandross, Earth, Wind and Fire. We was bussing the new releases of those artists straight away. Not just not only the Jeffries. You know, we was bussing everything. Evelyn Champagne King. We was just playing all the new music at that time.
Right, so you're in your room and someone's hit a light bulb moment. I think we can do this.
It was better than that. We was in a room and we were partying, in a sense, got the people there having a good laugh, playing some music, and this person said, you lot are proper. Right, Paul, Bernard, you lot are really good. Following Sunday we was there and I said, you know what guys, this is it.
We're back.
We could do something. We could do something. So then we was busting the tune, Make My Dreams a Reality,
Yeah.
You and Me. Who's that?
By GQ, yeah.
Also, me and Paul would have the GQ. I told you.
He
very
knows his
intelligent
stuff,
guy.
you know.
Ray tried it on me. I always get So, also, me and Paul were into the GQ magazine. So you saw the big GQ.
Yeah.
So it just boom, wow.
So you got the name.
Took the name straight. We just boom, big tune.
Yeah.
So, and then what we did was just to start it off and just see if we could do it. Paul started to have parties. So it was GQ party. So it was Vibes. It was PC. Because PC came from Paul Canaville. Mystery never had PC in his name. I don't know where he got that from, but
Someone gave him that thing.
He's got it from
Paul Charlton, yeah,
Paul Charlton, but
yeah,
it's Paul Canaville.
Yeah.
But we had PC from before
Yeah.
Paul was even invented. And then we just started playing out. We had 2 parties. The parties were Ram, Jam, Hawk in
No
flats.
pay to get in, just free.
Just free. We had the bars
In East London.
in East London, in Stamford Hill, and we had every. You know, imagine flats, and you had every level was just jam, and the was it was jam.
There's some
How
big
did it-
houses.
Yeah,
in Central.
exactly.
Every level.
How did it feel to be back?
It was good. It was really good, but I had reinvented myself. I wasn't a DJ anymore. I didn't want it. I didn't need to be. Bernard was the DJ, and me and Canners were the socialites. The reason why I say socialites is
And not Mike person.
and Mike person, but socialites.
Socialites.
Why I said socialites is to have a sound, you need people. You can't just I'm playing for you. You've got to bring something to the table. So we bought that to
When
the
you say
table.
people, personalities.
Yeah, personalities, females. We bought the right type of man.
Image.
Then would spend money, and everyone dressed. So if the guys in the sound dress good, the people coming to the rave, what are they gonna do?
So how did it feel then? So obviously you was coming back and trying to reclaim your crown, as we would put it. And
No, wrong. I think that's a wrong thing to say. 'cause I
well,
think-
not crown. I'm saying, but you're trying to get back up there, aren't you? To that spot.
Okay. I say something to you so you understand. Sometimes in life, it isn't about being number one, number two. It's about enjoying what you do. Back then, we enjoyed playing sound. Yeah, the money was great. But when you've got the trappings, you've got the car, you begin to get the house, you've got a nice job, money just buys you more clothes. So you have to enjoy what you do. You have to enjoy putting on a white suit and jewelry and feeling good about yourself.
So it was just good enough for you to just be back amongst the boys?
Canterville and Burnett, that's where it was good. It was good enough to be out there. And playing tunes that no one was playing. New tunes that we were finding that were rare, that people were forgetting. And we was busting it. And it just was working for us.
So, obviously, I take it by this time you'd got your stuff back from your tune records back from the police. Okay, so where did you kind of like go to find these rare records?
Basically, at the time, we all had our little... In Hackney, we had one shop, one wicked shop, Wired for Sound.
Oh yeah, Wired.
Before Wired was built...
G&M.
Yeah, Memories? No, before Wired was G&M. And G&M was owned by an old white guy that loved black. We really did like our music and liked us. And he would do so much for us. He would get imports for us, especially. And the guy that worked in the shop...
Little T?
No, the white guy that worked in the shop. Remember, he's bad.
Go on, then who's that?
The white guy that worked in the shop, Colin.
Oh, Colin. Oh, sorry.
Colin who worked for him,
Yeah.
then opened up Wired for Sound.
Oh, yeah.
So that connection we still had. Basil was still about as well.
Yeah.
Basil was with Basil.
Trevor Nelson.
We was all getting our music from the same source, imported in. And basically, for me, because of the level that I was at, I didn't need to go and look. I would walk in, your bag's there, Vibe, you got your bag.
And it had everything
in it that you'd want.
But that's because he knew that you were, it's like he almost knew what you would want every week. So he just put it down and knew that you were good for the money.
When you got a spender who's been spending with you from day one, remember that was
You get looked
10,
after.
15 years before they even started, you made that man open the MU shop.
That's right.
I was spending 70, 80 pounds a week back then.
On everything?
Everything. So it was, back then it was soul music, any reggae that came out, give the reggae out to my brother. So we'd just buy it. And we had Regal Record Shop.
Eddie,
Trevor Sax. So we would go there for our reggae. So we had a family, Bluebird Records. We would go out, but that was Bernard's role.
So what kind of music was you playing as GQ? What was your core music? So you're on the decks and it's your time and the crowd is ready for it now. What was your core music?
Anything that the ladies would like.
I think yeah, we were a ladies-driven sound, but we played music to express ourselves. Edie, Love's Gonna Last.
okay.
So it was predominantly still soul music.
Make it
100%.
last.
Make it last. Make it last. Sorry, make it last. Yeah, Edie. Them kind of Clifford Cloter. We played
Love's
tunes
Too
that
Hot
were
to Hide.
released, and that's
So there wasn't much reggae played.
yes, reggae was still played. But not as much.
Reggae or what we call revival.
Revival. It had become revival. It's 10 years old. It had become revival. The biggest thing that happened for GQ was we didn't do the black blues dance thing. We removed the black bin liners from the windows and we let the light come in. We started to rave in daylight. Daylight promotions. We used to rave in daylight. That's what GQ did. We didn't have this blocked off black thing. Everyone was closed off. We opened it up.
So that is something that is synonymous. Black bin liners on the windows for the black culture keeping parties. That's something that most of us grew up in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Anyway,
and it was a standard. It was a standard.
We took it away and we turned it into a church. And we had a mic man called Mr. Byron and a singer called Jacob Miller at the time. And basically they just took on this preaching role of preaching love and togetherness in the GQ dances.
So you now came to, so you was a sound of 5 people in?
When?
Now, so GQ.
GQ was just Bernard, Canterville and myself.
So
Jacob Miller and
they were just the mic man. They were the mic man. They did the mic man and thing. They were part of the sound. Yeah, 5. They all the time. So
yeah, but
5 of us.
yeah, but who paid them?
I did pay them. They're part of the team.
Right. So yeah. So there's 5 of you now. So how much money are you getting paid at this point in time now? Because now you're playing with other sounds.
We can't talk about the other part, is it?
Now you're getting, because at this time now it was more. It wasn't on GQ one in the dance, was it? You was playing.
Okay, when we first started, it was just GQ, and then it went to playing with other sounds. Now, other sounds company, other sounds Manhattan, other sounds Touch of Class.
So how much would you be charging at that time? So this is mid 80s, isn't it?
350s, fours.
350.
But this is what it was. It's very difficult because we played at places like Shanola's, Dougie's,
As well as
Knightley's
clubs,
first,
yeah.
Mingles.
and then for our lad, we'd play there first.
And then go to the Blues.
Yeah, we always played 2-3 places in one night. Not like other sounds. We had set times we were playing at certain places, and we'd do that. And we would play out from a Thursday, continental, to a Sunday. That's how it worked for us.
That's right.
That's how we every week in, week out, we did that for nearly 5 years.
And somewhere along the line, was this before GQ or was this during GQ? Paul Canaval became a first team player in Chelsea.
That was at Casual Affair.
That was at Casual Affair.
That's Casual Affair.
So just in case some of you don't know how big a deal that is,
Wow.
That would be on a first team at Chelsea. So you can imagine playing for a club like Chelsea. And Chelsea was very big back then, first division. You didn't have the Premier League, but it was first division. So he was you would call him an A-lister player at that time. And he was a black guy. He talks a lot about the racism and everything else that he faced being a black person at Chelsea. When he came to be a DJ now, was you aware of the kind of abuse that he was getting from his fans on the pitch, and how did that affect him when he came around you for the night?
Okay.
Or
we would go to
GQ.
games. Well, not many. And we felt really funny going to the games and hearing woo, 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 bananas. You turn around and you just want to row, but you can't. There's too many of them. So we knew what it felt like for Paul. Also, talking to Paul after the game, where we see him, he come to us, we'll be set up in a rave, he'll come there, and you could see on his face, he had a hard time. And what he did was, he released.
And that was the music at the time.
That was the music that made him release. So I think he had the
How did
get
he?
out.
So them times only played on Saturday, innit? So was there a midweek game and then Saturday? Because you didn't have Sunday football back then.
No, Saturday. It was Saturday night.
Saturday.
Paul would
Don't
train
forget,
or
they used to
whatever.
go to the pub before the game
Yeah,
those
then-
days, isn't it? You
yeah.
know, never.
Saturday night, Paul would leave 8, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. He'll get back and we'd be playing X, Y, and Z.
Because you played out on a Friday and Saturday night.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
sometimes
Paul wouldn't be. We wouldn't let Paul. We would send Paul home.
Saturday.
We
you
would
would
send
do
Paul to go. Would he go? I don't know. But we did try. We did send Paul. We did say, Paul, go on, you got to go. Cool, we sort everything out. Nice, and that's what we did. So.
What did it feel like having somebody of that stature in your sound system? You must have had.
Or could you get to enjoy it? I
advantage.
don't know if you could get to enjoy it though.
No, but they must have had an advantage.
You know what?
That's
They-
like having somebody
They
like.
got to enjoy it.
You know what? I'm going to turn around and say to you, I fully understand. We did get to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
What happened was, it's strange. Back then, when we had Casual Affair, we were the superstars because there was no radio, there was no television, just about mobile phones. So when you know a
Well, there was
man's playing
television, but it was
football-
only black
Yeah,
and white.
television, black and white,
Four
black and
channels,
white.
yeah.
So
And nothing
Paul
about us on it anyway. There
No,
was nothing
so
about
Paul's
us.
playing football,
Yeah.
and then the girls are seeing him in the rave. Wow, we sometimes
Memories.
Sometimes I'll be playing the set and I'll be thinking, I know, I'm so lucky, man. And it was for all of us. Even the other sounds that got involved with us afterwards. It was because we all were a community. So having Paul there was a wonderful thing. But Righty used to come to some of my dances.
Ian
I
Wright.
was just about to say that.
Roadcasters used to come to my dances. It's sister them.
David
They all
Roadcaster,
used
yeah.
to come to the dances. Mr. Paris used to come to the dances. I could name so many people that come to the dances, sit in the court. Our dances weren't like the perceived blues dance killers, murderers, and whatever. They were parties.
Yeah.
All right, we charged you to get in, and you pay for your drinks, but they were parties. And I think the stigma of blues dance, bad man, no, it was never like that.
Right.
We had characters.
Well, it was. Well, there was bits. There was bits. There was
Again,
bits.
in every
Bits.
world that you
There's
have,
bits.
you've
Of
got
course there
bad
is.
and you've got
That's
good.
right.
Yeah,
That's right. You had that.
So we had Tony Nix, we had Roger Moore, Luge. We had people come to, and they were characters.
yeah.
So we had a soap in the front room. People would come week after week to watch the next saga. You know, a man dancing with a girl one way, everyone bigged them up, horns being blown. Next week they come, they're doing the same corner again. It's a soap opera. We enjoyed that side of it. In fact, sometimes the money was great, but just being there was the most wonderful thing.
Yeah. You told me that you used to, just to go back a little bit, and we'll come back to GQ. You told me that you used to work up in West End, and you had a Friday night in a club up there, didn't you?
Okay, there's a pub called the Marlborough Pub. I worked for Marks and Spencers, and at the time I had Casual Affair Sound, and we had a good following, and we used to have little raves and parties. And you know that the song when they're on the floor and they used to do the dances like that. We played predominantly mixed music.
Oops Upside Your Head.
Oops Upside Your Head. Gap Band. All them. We used to play them kind of music. We used to be in the West End. I was there for nearly 2-3 years.
In the West End.
In the West End. Then we was at Parade Street playing People's Club.
Wow. Okay.
We did People's Club. We did a lot of stuff that was away from the norm. I remember Casual Affair Sound was playing at a dance and a guy came in from West London and they used to have flat top haircuts. So they're different to us, so you knew they were different. Handsome.
How did your people get into the West End clubs? Like, was there still that kind of like your name's not down, you're not coming in?
No blacks,
and
no
was it
dogs.
more
No, I think we were lucky because I think the way we dressed back then it was Crocs, lizard skin, it was silk suits.
Okay.
Is that a pimp mate's coming in? You know, it was that. Is that wow? What's that coming in? Is that football? Is that what is that coming? Is that star? We had that
wow factor.
They don't know.
Yeah.
And the girls all dressed up beautiful as well. So we never really had it as it is now for some of the young kids, or when we first started. But no, it was a good thing for us. The crowd liked it. We was doing what we was doing. It's good.
So when you're in GQ, everything's going fine. Give us a moment. What moment do you remember that you can say that was an iconic moment, or a moment that anybody who was there would have been talking about that moment for weeks that you was playing at as GQ?
I'll do two. I'll do Casual Affair first. Casual Affair playing at Carnival. Someone came up to us and said, "Do you want to play at Carnival?" Shut up. 1983, they started letting us. 83, yeah. 83, they opened the doors for sound systems to play at Carnival. And then there was no guidelines, there was no way you couldn't go or whatever. We was told to come play in the house. You sure? I said, yeah. Came and saw the house. Right in the Carnival, right bang in the Carnival. So we did it the first year. Jam, ram, during the day. I think we played for 2 days. I can't remember what it was. 2 days, Casual Affair we played. Took the sound back, went. The following year, the guy come back, said, I've got another sound called Rapattack. They're from West London. Do you want to play with them as well? I said, all right. Now, I've been seeing them man there at Bluebird, so I knew Alistair and whatever. I said, all right. That rave, Alistair will tell you as well, was off the hook. We mixed everything. We played for, I don't know how many days we played for. I don't know how long we was there for. I don't know. I just remember going and coming back. I had a shop in the West End at the time, and I just remember going in, having a shower at work, whatever, getting changed and going back. Wow. It was that wonderful. It was that unbelievable.
And that was what? So you played for 2 days as well?
We did it now. The next dance I'll tell you about is GQ. We played at a place called, in Edmonton on 4th Street. And we had the first, we strung up on a Friday. Monday morning we were still playing.
Oh, wow. What?
We had
was that a normal weekend, or was that just
bank holiday? It's bank holiday. It was one of our raves. It was we had a piece of it as well. And I remember Bernard just playing, and I took over. Candace took over. But I remember people coming, raving, going home, eating, living, coming back.
And how long was your set when you was playing? Like, was you playing for
Just
like
us.
half? Yeah, but
Just GQ.
You played.
Oh no!
And then Bernard played. Was it 45 minutes or was it 2 hours?
I'm used to playing from 11 to 11. I'm used to playing all night long. I'm used to it. Bernard's used to playing all night long. Canna's footballer, so he didn't really have that world. So that's it. So yeah, no, we're used to playing.
So there was a time and a place when DJs used to play like 4 hours.
I come from that world. Funkadelic, Sabrina. I come from that world where we used to play all night long. Tippertone, it's the first time that I was in. Yeah, we used to play all night long.
So in today's game, 45 minutes is like a walk in the park for you?
No, because it's harder to condense your set into 45 minutes. If you're a real music person, yeah, you can't come prepared. Anyone that says to me, yeah, I prepared and I've got 2 sticks, I'm like, I don't get it, because the crowd in front of you might be slightly different. So for me, I believe you play for the crowd, not a prepaid set. You know what genre you're going to play, but you can't.
How did you deal with kind of like playing for that whole weekend? Didn't you have police coming to knock the door, noise abatement, any of these type of councils coming and saying?
Sometimes we were lucky. At that rave, we were lucky.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Nobody came.
Nobody
Wow.
came. I was one of the guys that could go to work after I played.
Mm-hmm.
So I had things that keep me awake and to keep me up to go to work. I ran a business as well. So for me, it got hard sometimes because no one can take that
all day straight.
And you can't do it all the time. It does get to you.
It's when you're young,
physically
you can
and
do
mentally.
that.
I could not do it now. My wife would leave me. I could not do it.
Do you reckon you could do that? Can happen in this day and age where you have a 3-day party going
festivals, I think if you had a festival and tents, I think
the old house.
No, I think the noise abatement.
Council.
And where would you go? Hackney is now an area where you can't even buy a house.
Well, you know, there's this new thing where people are hiring Airbnbs and having weekend raves in Airbnbs now.
My daughter's been to a few, and they sleep over there and whatever.
It's not the same.
It's not the same.
Right.
The volume ain't the same.
No.
Number one, the amount of people that we had ain't the
Speaker
same.
boxes won't be the same.
And again, much better speaker boxes as well.
So at that time, give us a few of your iconic GQ tunes that you would have been championing at that time. You can give us a few more if you want, as well as
That's a killer, because every tune that we played was great. So I really got.
You must have signed on with.
Yeah, but
Make
it must
My
be
Dreams
something.
a Reality.
No, we never. Again, no. What? You know what?
No,
So
even
what
I-
tunes was you known for then? What, because I often tell these DJs when I tell stories, and you feel old, but you say, back in the day, it was very rare for a DJ to play another set of tunes that another
DJ
sound
played.
was known for. You just wouldn't do it. So what you knew a man for bringing through, you'd leave it until a few weeks, months afterwards, and then you'd start incorporating it. These days,
Okay, that's true. I think with GQ, Johnny Taylor.
What's that, shooting for the stars?
Shoot for the stars.
Disco Lady.
Make it last. Tunes that got man and women together. That was what we were more on. Progressive wise, we were like into Maze. What goes up, what goes down, While I'm Alone, that sort of vibe. It's difficult for me to sit here because I've got so much tunes in my head.
How do you feel when you hear What Goes Up and Comes Back Around? That tune kind of went away a bit for our scene,
Yes.
and in the last 4 or 5 years,
back again.
it's come back. How do you feel when you hear those tunes?
I feel nostalgic. It's great to see that people haven't forgot what good music is and how it's made. So for me, it's a good feeling. It's nice to see that we haven't changed. We are still people that like to party and can hear a good tune. Marvin Gaye, what's going on. I like to like Marvin Gaye. It's about music. My life is about music. GQ is about music. Casual Affair was about music.
I'm just surprised that you never played any GQ records as your,
We did,
as your anthems.
No, we didn't need to. It wasn't. Back then we didn't brand ourselves. You know why? We were the brand.
Yeah.
So the way we dressed, the way we looked, the way we composed ourselves in the rave. You would never see one of us on the floor. Apart from Tony Nick sometimes. You would never see us. You would never see one of us on the floor being stupid.
Yeah.
We always had this image of. Yeah.
Yeah, but where was that modelled off? Was that something to do with what you watched on TV?
No,
George,
I think it was from the respect that we had for our elders back then.
Right, okay.
You could not go to a dance back in the old days and give it the big one.
Yeah.
And the whole place would box you down.
Right.
You'd be outside long time. So I think we tried to brand ourselves as sweet boys, entertainers, as the place to be with these guys.
It's just interesting to see how you found the correlation between the way looking sharp as hell made the type of crowd and you know, the type of people that came to your gigs and made it so successful?
I think it's still the same
Yeah.
now. I think
Yeah.
if you went on stage and you was dressed in a white, we used to go to blues dances in white suits.
Right.
A blues dance, you wouldn't expect a man to wear a white suit. Myself, Tony Nicks, Roger Moore, we'd be in white suits.
Yeah.
Because that's how we felt. That's what the energy that we had. That's what we tried to show.
The people. And you got the wow factor out
Yeah, we
of
got
the people.
out of it, yeah.
Yeah.
And they did. They progressive us.
And going back to the tunes, you often hear people mention these top 100 tunes that should never be played again or played too much. How do you feel about incorporating tunes that have had, we've talked about some of them that have had a lifespan of 25, 30 years, still been played now. How do you feel about incorporating some of those tunes still now? Do you think that those tunes, once they're a hit and they had their shelf life maybe should be a year and should be put down, or you don't feel any way about it, you just do your set? Or
I think
how do you
it's
feel?
all about the people. I will say there's so much new music out at the moment. My favourite track at the moment is that Michon track. You know, so much new music out at the moment.
What song
I
is it?
think you've got to incorporate. I think
Well, you don't know
you've
it?
got to- Of course it does.
What's it? What song? What was it?
Michon.
Let's go to work.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Of course I know.
Well
It's
done,
too late.
you caught it, you caught it back,
Yeah,
eh?
you said it and you went quiet. Anyway, I think there's so much new music out. I think you need to incorporate both. And also, I think you need to play for the crowd, not for what the number 10, number 5, what is.
But it's very difficult to do that in a 45-minute set. Like what's happening nowadays. The clubs are now going on to 5 o'clock. There's 6, 7 DJs on there. By the time you give the DJs their allotted time, it's very hard to squeeze in. And if you're playing for the people, you've got to just let it flow.
I think myself and Mystery, who I now work with, for my sins, me and Mystery, we have this thing where wherever you put us, we do the set according to suit that time.
Well, that's the most.
That's
So
what-
any good selector would do that.
But do
No,
that.
any good promoter
would
put
any
it
good
on.
promoter would do right. This is what I get a bit funny about sometimes when the promoter says, "I'm going to put you here," and I'm thinking, "Okay, not my forte, but I'll do that."
But you can do it.
No. Again, or if I get the information early enough, I set myself up. So, for instance, if I'm at a rear groove rave and you put me on at the beginning, all I'm going to do is get them racing so much that everyone else, but not everyone does that. And they want to throw in a couple of new tunes because that's what's running at the moment. And I think,
Well, they're not really good selectors who do that.
but everyone's still, anyway, that's another story. I think that,
No, it's an interesting.
but I think promoters and DJs need to work together more. Give DJs the information early so they can plan and get
What
together.
information would you really require? Like you're
What
doing
time I'm playing,
You're doing an
what-
early set.
What time I'm playing and what do you want? How do you want the rave to run? Luckily for you with the rear groove raves that we've done, you've put them on at the beginning because you don't like
But it doesn't
me.
matter what
No,
time.
no,
It doesn't matter what
finish.
time you go on.
Say that again, say that again.
Let me finish.
No, say that
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
It
That is
doesn't
very
matter what time
important.
you-
No, that's very
But it doesn't
important.
matter what time you go on.
Am I
You can
interviewing
adapt.
you or you me? Anyway,
So he's booked you,
yeah.
and Mr. Eastender, Mr. Michael Fontaine. This is for Ray Groove Legends, I presume.
One of these dances.
Yeah.
I can't use with so many.
Yeah.
No, I do like Michael. I'm
No,
not gonna say it.
go on. What's the question?
And has he put you on at the right time?
There's no right time for
think-
legends. Legends play at any time.
I think
they
I
can
think
adapt to
sometimes
any time.
Michael's going to start stuttering now. I think sometimes it's this, and we had the click thing back then anyway,
Yeah.
so it doesn't bother me. I love every single DJ that.
So
that
politics
I play with.
has always been a part of the culture.
100%. It's always been a part.
Yeah.
People have always hated me. Why? Because you don't look like
Love-
you need the money, but yet you're here taking my money. You're playing tunes that maybe if I played, I'll get the response that you're going to get. And B, if I put him on at the beginning, I can put X, Y, and Z on in the middle and give them the props. And I think sometimes that promoters need to work out what they're doing with certain DJs. If you want me in the beginning, tell me what you want, I'll do it for you. And I think for Michael, you've got to look at it and think, hang on a minute, but I've put him on, he's done me a great job without me even asking him.
But I would
Is
only
that because
expect.
is that because he's a professional, or is it because he is what he is?
But I would only expect that. Otherwise, I wouldn't have booked you.
No, I disagree with that.
I have to say, if I put on a dance, I mean, after what we've heard, I would put you on main set.
Thank you, Reg. You get me? Hey, what's wrong with you?
100%.
It doesn't matter
Main
what time.
set.
They do it on a good
Because
day.
if I play that Make My Dreams a Reality, start off with that, and I'll be like, thanks, bro.
No, but he should have to tell you that. That should be like a GQ anthem. You
But
should
like
know
I said,
that.
we don't.
Yeah, I know you
do
don't. I
anthems.
get that. I get that.
Don't do dub plates. Don't do anthems.
I get
I've
that.
got dub plates. I just want to play the original tune. You know.
I get that.
Have you got an issue with dub plates?
No. I think
So you're all right
I
then.
think it's part.
You're all right.
I think it's part of our culture. I think we started, and anyone that's been in the industry knows where it came from and why it's there.
Yeah.
And if it's played properly and done properly, it's great. That's all.
And you've played a blinder today.
Thank you so
you
much.
very much, sir. Our hour has come to an end.
I mean,
And that was... you.
we haven't talked about the mystery in GQ days.
Let me tell you something.
Come on.
It just really gets more and more interesting as we go along and like we hear the stories. And this is one of the reasons why we do it, because we want to hear your story and we want to make sure the story isn't lost. You understand? Because when it's lost, it's like you've done it all for nothing, because then the generation that come after us, they just don't understand what we did and where we come from and the contribution that you've made, not only to music, but to a community as well as. So, Mr. GQ, Loverboy, Vibert, 5-star general.
Thank you.
Salute, sir.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
That's cool. Put him on later. What's wrong with you?
Anyway, we're on the prime time, mate. What's wrong with me?
We're
All
out
the
of here.
ladies will come, innit?
We're out of here. We hope you enjoyed this as much as we did. And I certainly had a fantastic time with him. He's one of my favourite DJs growing up. So it was an honour to interview him today. So thank you. We're back next week. So remember, share, like. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're on Instagram. Check us out at, what are we called again? Set the Trend Podcast. Make sure that you like and tag us in. And some of these conversations that you hear, we'd like you to contribute as well, because you may have a story that you wish to contribute as well. And Vibert might not remember, EastEnder might not remember, Reggie doesn't remember, and I certainly don't remember. And we'd like to hear what you have to say as well.
All essays welcome.
Oi. Thank you. So we're out of here. We'll see you next time for another edition of Set the Trend Podcast.
Boom.
Peace.
Thank you.
Respect, sir.
Wicked one.
Wicked.
I didn't want to come in.